Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, we spend so much time obsessing over how to make our money grow, right? But what actually happens when life throws a massive wrench in the gears? Before we can safely accelerate our wealth creation, we absolutely need a robust safety net. So today, we're building your financial shock absorber.
Okay, picture this. You're investing every single month. Your SIP's running flawlessly. Your retirement portfolio is growing steadily. And you've even started building wealth for your kids' future. You look at your finances and, honestly, everything just seems perfectly on track. You feel completely in control.
And then, bam, reality hits. I want to place you right in the middle of a sudden financial crisis. Maybe it's a completely unexpected medical expense, or your car needs a massive repair, out of nowhere. Or worse, you lose your job. The hard truth is, while your investments might be doing great, your everyday bills, they don't magically stop. The rent still needs to be paid, groceries still need to be bought. So what exactly happens next?
When faced with this sudden gap, are you going to be forced to destroy the very investments you've worked so incredibly hard to build just to stay afloat? Are you going to stop your SIPs, sell your mutual funds at the exact wrong time, break a fixed deposit and lose out on all that interest? Or, worst of all, borrow extremely expensive money on a credit card? This scenario right here, this is exactly why you need an emergency fund. It ensures a temporary crisis doesn't cause permanent damage to your long-term wealth.
To build this blueprint today, we're going to move through 4 key steps: defining the fund, calculating your custom target number, deciding exactly where to park this money, and finally, avoiding the most common mistakes. Let's dive in.
Let's start with Section 1, defining the emergency fund. We really need to lay out exactly what this money is meant to do.
And just as importantly, we need to know what it's not supposed to do. The boundary for this fund is absolute. On one side, it is exclusively for the unexpected and the essential. Think sudden job loss, urgent home repairs, medical emergencies. On the other side, it is absolutely not for planned or discretionary spending. A new smartphone, an international vacation, or some massive online sale do not qualify. This is a shock absorber, not a piggy bank for lifestyle upgrades when you just don't want to touch your main investments.
At its core, your emergency fund gives you time. And in a crisis, time is the most valuable thing money can buy. It keeps the lights on and the food on the table while you figure out your next move, entirely avoiding that suffocating panic of immediate financial ruin.
All right, moving to Section 2, calculating your target number. Let's get into the actual math.
So a massive mistake people make here is simply multiplying their salary. You might hear someone say, well, I earn 1 lakh rupees a month, so I need a 6 lakh rupee emergency fund. But that's totally flawed. We need to look strictly at what you are forced to spend every single month. If you earn 1 lakh rupees but your essential expenses are really only 55,000 rupees, your target needs to be based on that 55,000 rupees, not the full lakh. Basically calculate from your bare minimum needs, not your income.
Let's look at a really practical example for a typical household. We've got rent at 20,000 rupees, food and groceries at 15,000 rupees, utilities and transport adding up to another 10,000 rupees, insurance at 5,000 rupees, a totally non-negotiable home loan EMI of 25,000 rupees, and education costs at 10,000 rupees. Add all of that up, and the absolute minimum just to keep this household running, it's 85,000 rupees.
Now, taking that $85,000 monthly essential expense, let's say this primary earner has a relatively stable job and wants a standard 6-month safety net. We just multiply the two. Their target emergency fund is precisely 5.1 lakh rupees. That number right there is their personal baseline for absolute financial security.
But hey, personal finance is exactly that, personal. There is no magic one-size-fits-all number. If you have a highly stable, salaried job, 3 to 6 months might be perfectly fine. However, single-income families with high non-negotiable debt payments or those working in volatile industries, you should probably stretch that out to 6 to 12 months. And if you're self-employed, a freelancer, or a business owner with irregular income, you need a much larger safety buffer, ideally 9 to 12 months, simply because your income is naturally prone to way more fluctuation. Section 3. Where to park your money. Now that you've calculated your custom number, where do you actually put this cash so it's ready when disaster strikes?
People often worry, wait, isn't my money losing out on returns if it's just sitting in an emergency fund? Well, potentially, yes. But comparing an emergency fund to an investment portfolio is literally like comparing a fire extinguisher to a Formula One car based on how fast they go. Your investments are the racing car, right? They're designed for long-term wealth creation. But your emergency fund, that's the fire extinguisher. It is designed for protection and immediate liquidity. They have completely different jobs. You wouldn't expect your fire extinguisher to win a race, so please don't expect your emergency fund to generate market-beating returns.
Because we need extreme safety and immediate access, we absolutely must avoid equity and gold for this specific fund. Why? Because emergencies don't wait for the stock market to recover, and gold prices can wildly fluctuate. Imagine you have 5 lakh rupees in equity mutual funds. The market suddenly crashes 25%, and your fund drops to 3.75 lakh rupees. If you lose your job at that exact moment, you're forced to sell your investments at a depressed price, taking a permanent loss. That entirely defeats the purpose of the fund. Your emergency money needs to be boring, like really, really boring.
Which brings us to a smart 3-layer storage strategy where immediate access is the top priority. Layer 1 is immediate cash. Keep about 1 month's worth of expenses in a standard savings account for day 1 emergencies. Layer 2 is your short-term reserve. Here you can use tools like sweep-in fixed deposits that link directly to your account. They give slightly better returns, but you can break them instantly for the next few months of expenses. Finally, Layer 3 is your extended reserve, utilizing low-risk instruments for the rest of the fund. The guiding principle here is super simple. The closer you are to needing the money, the more important absolute liquidity becomes.
Finally, Section 4, avoiding common mistakes. Let's quickly talk about the traps that can completely unravel your careful setup. First off, make absolutely sure you don't fall into the trap of treating a credit card as a safety net. A credit card is a borrowing facility with incredibly high interest rates. Borrowing money when you're already in a crisis is the exact opposite of a safety net. Also, avoid stuffing it all in physical cash under your mattress at home. It earns 0 returns and it's highly risky. Furthermore, don't forget inflation. If your monthly living costs go up over the years, your emergency target needs to be adjusted up right along with it. And finally, don't hoard too much. If your target is 5 lakhs, don't keep 20 lakhs sitting in a low-yield savings account. That excess money should be put to work in your long-term investments.
Here's another vital mindset shift. Never, ever feel guilty for using this fund during a real crisis. That is exactly what it's there for. If you use it, you haven't failed. The fund has successfully done its job. But remember, think of it as a bucket. When you take water out to put out a fire, your very next financial priority, once the dust settles, of course, must be replenishing that bucket before the next fire starts.
Look, you need long-term investments to build wealth, you need insurance to protect against major risks, and you absolutely need this emergency fund to protect your everyday financial stability. So I'm going to leave you with this question to reflect on your own preparedness. How many months of essential expenses do you currently keep in your emergency fund? Are you at 3, 6, or maybe none at all? I hope this explainer helps you build a robust financial shield so the next time life throws a curveball, you are entirely prepared.